One of a coworker that bring up the subject last night and asked me, one of a contingency. It's not really right here, but I mean, it's contingent upon purchase. That actually seller has to be selling their home before they can purchase. You thought you got 13. Usually, you'll see that the seller has 17 days to identify the replacement property. But a lot of people, they forgot. Yes, the seller, they do remove the 17-day for the remove their contingency, but it's finding their property. But are they be able to close the escrow? We don't know. But if later I'm gonna cover that. That's a contingency. They're bringing the subject. A lot of people, they probably miss it. Is usually on the seller listing agent, they will mark on the one of a paragraph 1C. Actually, they're telling you if the seller cannot able to close an escrow, they can still cancel the buyer at the last minute, right before recording. If they did check that, that means they reserve the right. So as a buyer's agent, we gotta have to clearly tell our buyer we do have those risks last minute. And sometimes they even say seller reserved the right to extend another 30-day escrow. So you want to close in 30 days. The seller says, wait, I don't have enough time. I want to extend another 30 days. You have to agree before you purchase. But sometimes, we don't quite understand. But that is, I'm going to cover that contingency upon purchase, because that is also different contingency over there. I don't try to, confuse you, but I mean, got a lot of contingency. You got to have to watch out. So far, I tell the coworkers, you're lucky. Nothing really happened before. So do I. I deal with it. But anything could happen. I have the experience. The seller doesn't want to sign a grantee transfer at the last minute. Can you close it? You can't. Sue them. That's all you can do. But if the buyer doesn't want to sue, then cancel. They still return you all your money, but still wasting all your time. Yeah. Okay. Let's starting with the easier one. The paragraph 14. That's pretty much the basic one. I know it's got a lot of the cover already. Time period, removal, contingency, cancellation right in the following time period may only be extended, altered, modified, or changed by mutual written agreement. Any removal of contingency or cancellation under this paragraph by either buyer or seller must be exercised in good faith and in writing. A. Seller has 7 days after acceptance to deliver to a buyer all report, disclosure, and information for which seller is responsible under paragraph 5, 6, 7, A, B, 5, 10A, B, and C, and F, 11A, and 13A. You can go back to see it. That's not only a disclosure statement, your title report, your natural hazard disclosure statement, even for the HOA document. Everything. Those are the seller responsibility to disclose. If by the time specified, seller has not delivered any such item, buyer after first delivery to seller a notice to seller to perform NSP may cancel this agreement. Can buyer cancel the seller? Sure. If the seller did not deliver all the disclosure and you keep on waiting and waiting, sometime even escrow paperwork delay. Did you have a chance, after 1 week, escrow paperwork still doesn't come out yet? I had it before. I said, boy, what's wrong with it? Because escrow waiting for a title report. A title is sometimes the title search take a long time, especially older property. If you deal with everything 1940 or even earlier, the title report take a long time to search. Because as a listing agent, they did not prepare ahead of time before open escrow. That's why you remember, if you could, being a listing agent, you can prepare natural hazard disclosure statement sitting in the escrow. Before you open escrow, I'm pretty sure you already know which escrow you got to open. If seller have a designated escrow, you ask seller, You know, once I sign a listing agreement, do you have any preferred escrow you want to use? If you do, let me know. Then that we can do the title report sitting there. We can do the natural hazard disclosure statement report sitting there. Wait for open escrow. Then you don't have to wasting time. Disclosure statement, if the seller would, you know, take your time to fill it out, you can actually give it to them after you sign a listing agreement. But how about homeowner association? I know that is something you need to pay. Rest of them, it's all free still. Before close of escrow, it's still free. But homeowner for the HOA document, that seller need to pay. Is seller willing to pay that early? Well, it's up to. If seller willing to pay, that means he's or she is serious, want to sell it. Because according to the paragraph, you know, on the 7D4, that is seller need to pay for the HOA documents. And that's a civil code. I mean, sooner or later, seller need to pay. But sometime if the seller doesn't, you know, order the HOA document ahead of time, and they may have to pay the expediting fee. And if you want to pay the expediting fee, then that means you have to pay more. Because order the HOA document can take as long as 2 weeks. But when you open escrow, then they may not have enough time within 7 days. So that is actually a contingency. Buyer usually holding the seller before they remove the contingency. Hey, I haven't received the HOA document yet. Then that's part of it. Yeah. So those are, you know, the usually you could issue a seller. I mean, know the seller to perform. We rather don't do that because sometimes it may piss the seller off. But you just talk to a listing agent and say, look, 7 days already. What happened to all the paperwork? Or any paperwork they're missing? You reminding listing agent, what happened? You gotta have to push your seller. Okay? I rather don't serve them another seller to perform. It's not the big issue for the paperwork yet. But if you talk about seller identify their replacement property, yes, that's a big deal. Because if they, by 17 days, if they haven't finding their replacement property, believe me, they most likely, they won't go through this escrow. Because they haven't even know where they want to buy. And that's a time I will serve the seller, know the seller to perform. If when finding the replacement property, that means they have to open escrow. Open escrow, 17 days, within 17 days, after they're accepting ours, if they seller need to find another replacement property. Because if that's the case, usually those sellers, they want to close concurrently. And your escrow better be 45 days. Because their escrow, if your escrow is 30 days, no way, 17 days, if they just open escrow, it's no way they can close in time. Because they cannot move out in time. And they may have to extend the escrow. So those are the chain reaction. You have to be, you know, coordinate with the listing agent. Sometimes I have to even coordinate with the listing agent's listing agent. Sellers, a seller. Sellers, listing agent. Because they're going to buy another property. And I have to jump through the hurdle and go through the property seller need to purchase and find out what's their the processing. Because sometimes the listing agent may not tell you the true story. Then I have to go around it if I need to, and I need to find out. Yeah. No. It's just, you know, they think 17 days is enough. According to, you know, what their calculation or something. Because on default, you can put any day you want. But 17 days, that actually on the 14B, you can fill in any day you want. Yeah, because few years back, We have 17 days. That's all the contingency, not just, that's including long contingency. Now it's because the long, they have a 3 days waiting period. That's why we issue the CD. So that's why they're adding total 4 days for the long contingency. That's way back to like 20, let's say 16. I think it's 2015, 16. At the end, I noticed that they're starting changing that about 2 years ago. Is it 2 years, 3 years ago? In November, I remember. Yeah, I think it's 2015 in November. Because it used to be 17 days total, including appraisal contingency, all the contingency, inspection contingency, and loan contingency, everything 17 days. And now they separated 17 and 21 days. But if you want to get the deal, sometimes we might shorten the contingency day as a buyer's agent. You want to make your term and condition stand out in front of a seller. Then what do? I may shorten to 10 days contingency, all contingency, and long contingency, 14 days. You shorten 7 days, but you better make sure the loan agent can be delivered. Otherwise, you got to ask the buyer. Then that means you shooting the close of escrow. How many days? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. 21 day close of escrow, basically, or 23 day, whatever. If you shorten everything at 7 days. Can it be done? Yes, for financing. But loan agent have to work very, very hard to deliver that. And make sure right before close of escrow, the buyers already have all the paperwork ready to loan agent. All they need to do is, once they open escrow, the lender, all they need is your purchase agreement, escrow instruction, title report, and that's it. Nothing really related to buyer's financing, tax return, or anything. Those has to be done. Their bank statement, everything has been done and checked with the loan agent. So once they open escrow, package the deal, they can send to the underwriter within a day or two for final approval. And also they order the appraisal right after open escrow. So those it can be done. So sometimes when we do the inspection, appraisal come in at the same time. And usually we do the inspection on the first few days, the open escrow. And why the appraisal come in at the same time is because we rush everything. So on default, buyer has 17 days after acceptance to be after a sentence, unless otherwise agreed in writing. 1, complete all buyer's investigation, review all disclosure report, lease document to be assumed by buyer, pursuing to paragraph A, B, 5, and other applicable information which buyer received from seller, and approved all matters affecting the property. And 2, deliver to seller signed copy of statutory and lead disclosure and other disclosure delivered by seller in accordance with the paragraph 10A. So those are, all the disclosure, everything, has to be acceptance and read it. And those are basically even including appraisal, 17 days. Should be, by 17 days, everything should be pretty much done except the final loan approval. 2, within the time specified in paragraph 14B1, buyer may request the seller make repair or take any other action regarding the property. So we can issue the RR, request for repair, to the seller. And seller has no obligation to agree or respond to RR, buyer's request. So that means if you issue the RR, and a lot of co-worker ask me, why seller is not responding? The seller have to responding? No obligation. When seller is not responding, that means rejected. all your requests. Then you better ask the listing agent, is that true? You better make sure. They are not obligated to respond RR, not even RR. Because the bottom of the RR, request for repair, you have either seller, I try not to do that, but I mean, some of the sellers, they are pretty, I don't know what they are thinking, but they're pretty hard to deal with. They're not responding. They can simply say, if I want to reject everything, you can just check the RR, bottom of RR, say seller reject everything. Okay, then seller sign. Okay, I understand clearly. Then my buyer, they can say, well, we're going to proceed or we cancel. We can go either way. The worst thing is just like this, they're not responding. So that's why they put the statement here. Used to be we have some argument why they are not responding. Now, seller has no obligation to agree to or respond to the buyer's request. So if they don't responding, technically it's refuse to repair everything. Then you gotta have to consider, as a buyer's agent, are you going to proceed the purchase or not? Okay. So doesn't mean they have to respond to you, even you sending the request for repair. But you better do it as soon as you can, right after the inspection. Send them the request for repair within a couple of days. You discuss with your buyer if you want them to repair, credit, or maybe reduce the price, whatever the action may be. You better do it quick. Don't wait until the last minute, because clock is ticking really fast. In no time, you found out, ooh, it's 17 days, because it's a calendar day. Remember that. Calendar days, ain't got no stopping for business day. If you're accepting the offer on Friday, well, seller say, yeah, I mean, we open escrow Monday. Okay, but where's your clock ticking? Saturday. It's your first day. Contingency day, starting Saturday. That's the first day, because the seller accepting your offer on Friday evening. By the time you wait until Monday, that's third day, 3 days already. But actually during that weekend, what you can do, inspection. And I think I love that is because if something wrong with the inspection, I don't have to even turn in the initial deposit and cancel the deal. That's a buyer's advantage, actually. During the weekend, it's your advantage. Send the inspector, check on the house. If the big issue come out, usually the inspector will tell you right on the spot, especially foundation issue. That's a big issue. If you say foundation crack and the house is not level, for example. You see those houses? Yeah. I mean, when I walk in the house, I can feel that. When I step on the floor, I know the house is not level. But sometimes 1 or 2 degrees, it's really hard to tell. I didn't expecting everybody can sense that. Even the contract, because the buyer is a contractor. James, no. Flat, I said no. It should be 1 degree or 2 degrees off. Can you feel it? Yeah. I don't believe it. Okay, get your machine. So you get on the laser machine, stick on the wall, and they measure that. It is 2 degrees off. When the whole house 2 degrees off, that means foundation gotta have a problem. How come you can? Because actually I can see the wall. You walk in, you don't see level. It's just like you feel like your body is leaning somewhere, or usually you can sit on a ball and they may rolling, and I mean the foundation, something wrong with it. So those are 17 days. You gotta complete all your investigation and inspection and reading all the paperwork. Then usually on 15 days, if the listing agent, they really go by the day, they will give the buyers notice buyer to perform. That means 2 days before the contingency period, they can serve you the notice buyer to perform at 15 days, except your loan contingency. That means you're gonna have to remove all contingency except loan. Unless you have, and before you remove the contingency, you make sure you review all the paperwork. All the paperwork is you receive in hand, not just partial, all paperwork. So that means if you don't know, go through our checklist. Our company front desk, they all have a checklist. Go through all the paperwork, see if you receive everything. If it's a HOA community, make sure you receive the HOA document too. Before you remove the contingency, yes. So those are, you gotta have to make sure you receive all the document before you remove it. And B2, with the time specified in paragraph 14B1, buyer may request the seller, this one I'm gonna cover. 3, by the end of the time specified in paragraph 14B1, or as otherwise specified in this agreement, buyer should deliver to seller a removal of applicable contingency or cancellation, CR or CC. So either you remove contingency if they serve the notice buyer to perform. However, if any report, disclosure, or information for which seller's response is not delivered within the time specified in paragraph 14A, then buyer has 5 days after delivery of any such item and the time specified in paragraph 14B1, which is later, to deliver to seller a remove of applicable contingency or cancellation of this agreement. So that means within the 17 days, you can make sure you receive all the paperwork. But if the seller, they deliver something after even you remove the contingency, you still have 5 days to review. If you're not agree with it, you can still cancel. Then seller have to deliver the money back to you because that's a seller's fault. They deliver late at that document. For example, if the HOA delivered document, they delivered late, and you forgot. You already removed the contingency. They said, wait a minute, I forgot to give you the HOA document. Oh, okay, bang, they give it to the HOA document. Suddenly, you got 5 more days. Need to review. If you're not happy with it, or whatever the document may be, even you cancel. And let's say, wait a minute, you didn't remove contingency. How can you cancel? I said, well, because you deliver your document late. Even after I remove the contingency, I still have 5 more days. Okay? But a lot of people only serve what? Contingency removal. But to the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent said, do I have to sign? Yeah. No. They forgot to deliver what? Notice buyer to perform. Because you cannot say, I give the buyer's CR, contingency removal, and if they don't sign it back, can seller cancel the buyer right away? No. Because they did not deliver notice buyer to perform. You did not give a buyer 2 days to think about it. CR doesn't notify the buyer to think about it or cancel. No. CR just a contingency removal. It's just a form. But notice buyer to perform, they were clearly stated, you can, this is what I serve you. I'll give you 2 days to think about it, default, 2 days. Either you sign a contingency removal or cancellation. So basically, when you really want to serve the, when you give the buyer, not just giving the CR, you have to remember, you need to give them the notice buyer to perform. So the action is actually get it from the buyer, because buyer running the show for 17 days. Did I tell you, right? Buyer's agent running the show after acceptance. But how you take those right back to seller, that is, you have to serve them a notice buyer to perform. If you don't serve them notice buyer to perform, can contingency removal, the contingency continue? Yeah. As long as the buyer did not sign it, even until close of escrow. You think, oh, they're already exceeding the close escrow and the seller is not, agree to extend it. Then I say, well, now why do I have to give the money back to the buyer? Because seller, at the end of last minute, buyer say, I'm canceling. Oh wait, you already even passing the escrow day. Yeah. But I'm asking the listing agent, did you ever receive the contingency removal from us? Haha. Haha. If I never signed it, but I give you the cancellation, but did you ever give me a notice buyer to perform? Because without a notice buyer to perform, you cannot give the cancellation to the buyer. Okay? I know a lot of people jump that step. They give the CR and the CR didn't sign it and give the cancellation to the buyer. Buyer still ignore it. Then wait until the close escrow. Buyer demand the money back. Then by the time buyer served the seller another cancellation, seller said, I already give you the cancellation. You didn't sign it. Then the money is ours. I said, no. Buyer never signed it. And if I really want to challenge, did you ever serve me a notice buyer to perform? If you don't, I'm sorry, listing agent, your fault. So that's why when you really want to take a buyer's initial deposit at the end, if they did not close of escrow, you better do it right to begin with. If you're missing the notice buyer to perform, that means the cancellation right still in buyers, not seller. You never took it back. You gotta have to serve the buyer notice buyer to perform 2 days later. If buyer is still not responding, then automatically you take the cancellation right back to the seller. So seller can cancel buyer anytime they wish. So you gotta remember that. I can tell you 90% of a agent, they never serve, they don't even know what's a notice buyer to perform. I say, come on, don't ask me that. Yeah. You should know that form already, right here. So, number 4, contingency, continuation of contingency. Okay, here we go. Even after the end of a time specified in paragraph 14b1 and before seller cancel, if at all pursuing the paragraph 14d, buyer retain the right in writing to either remove remaining contingency. 2, cancel this agreement based on remaining contingency. Once buyer written remove of all contingency is delivered to seller, seller may not cancel this agreement pursuing to paragraph 14d. As long as the seller, or the buyer did not sign a remove contingency, the contingency continue. So it's not automatic 17-day contingency remove unless you put into counter offer. If you put in a counter offer by 17-day, buyer's contingency automatically remove. You gotta have to state it in the counter offer, then become automatic. But you know what? Most likely, yeah, it depends though. When a seller's market, yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Basically you have no contingency. You can say that. Or they will give you 17-day. If the contingency, automatically remove, you can put in a counter offer. Then it doesn't really need a contingency removal form, because when the time is up, contingency removed. Mm-hmm. You could. If the seller give you the counter offer, say 17 days, automatically remove. You can still counter them back. We keep the 17-day contingency period. Removed by the buyer, not automatically. You got to make sure, not automatically. Because contingency removal is only happen on residential property. Commercial property, no. Commercial property is everything automatic. Time is up. Automatically remove. No argument. They put in the contract already. We put 60-day escrow, 30-day contingency period, but that's automatically removed. Commercial property, they don't care. Do I need to serve the notice back to perform? No. Automatic. Only residential has this. So, however, those are, you need to find out, certainly, because those are, could be, have a lot of argument if the seller give you the cancellation. You and I agree. Then you better tell them and say, well, why don't you, you know what, if that's the case, if the seller really give you the cancellation, usually what I say, well, if you really want to cancel us, did you ever service the notice by to perform? I can kind of give it a hint. I said, because without a notice by to perform, you cannot really cancel us. But as a buyer's agent, I didn't really want to cancel. You want your buyer to buy it, but your buyer sometimes they just so slow to make a final decision. You got to have to rely on the seller to push your buyer. Okay? Stop wasting time. If you really want to cancel, then sign it. Sometimes the buyer says, oh, wait a minute. So that's why sometimes I may have to using a seller or listing agent to push my buyer to make a decision faster. So you let them be a bad guy. You still be the good guy. So in front of a seller, buyer's agent is a bad guy. In front of a buyer, listing agent is a bad guy. Okay? Role play, they're friendly. Mm-hmm. They have all kinds of buyers. They don't care. It is. That's why seller's market. You guys haven't seen the buyer's market. Sellers begging you to buy the property. They do everything they can to close the deal. That has happened at 2008, 9, 10, 11. But remember this, we come here to making money. Doesn't matter the market is good or bad. We base on what? Commission, percentage. So, still making money. Sometimes the seller losing money, we're still making money. Number 5, access to the property. Buyers should have access to the property to conduct inspection and investigation for 17 days after acceptance, whether or not any part of a buyer's investigation contingency has been waived or removed. Even you remove your contingency, sometimes buyer may waive the inspection contingency. They still have 17 days. Because that 17 days not just investigation or inspection. You still have what? All the disclosure statement, all the paperwork. right? And appraisal. They're all within 17 days. But sometimes, did you see that the buyer's agent, the listing agent will give, like, say, inspection contingency, 10 days. They basically just want you to just go ahead and do the inspection right away. If you don't like it, that's okay, cancel. We don't want to continue to wait until 17 days. That's too long. They will allow you to do the appraisal, other paperwork, and maybe 17 days. But not an inspection. They just want you to do it, say 7 days or 10 days. Do it right away. So at least you have to do the general inspection or all kinds of inspection within 7 days or 10 days. Sometimes they may do that. I won't against that because, sometimes the buyer is so stingy. They want to make sure their loan can finance before they do the inspection. That's going to be too late. So I don't against that. I do thank listing agent and say, that's fine. Because I can push the buyer. Yeah, do the inspection first, spend the money, okay? The more money you spend, the harder you cancel. If you can do it right away on appraisal, that's even better. Suddenly, you only spend $800 or more. Ooh, are you gonna cancel? Yeah, you guys will move forward. C, remove a contingency with offer. Buyer remove the contingency specified in the attached contingency removal form. If buyer remove any contingency without an adequate understanding of a property condition or buyer's ability to purchase, buyer is acting against the advice of broker. So if you want to remove the contingency with offer, okay, used to be it's more like remove all contingency, but this one is remove the contingency with offer. That means you could remove partial contingency, not all, because we never recommend and we don't want the buyer remove. When we mean all contingency, that means you have no way to back out. Not even inspection, not even anything wrong with the property, not even your loan appraisal if you remove all contingency to begin with. That's a very, very dangerous move. But here, if you really want to make the property stand out, for example, you could mark on the paragraph 3, paragraph 3, for the appraisal, paragraph 2, for the appraisal contingency. It's like, it's not contingent upon the appraisal. If you go back to here, if we remove the paragraph 2, here's a loan, okay? Here's appraisal. If you check mark right here, the agreement is not contingent upon written appraisal of a property. The proper way to do it, I know it's usually we just check here and that's it. But the proper way to do it, you should attach the contingency removal with your purchase agreement. You mark there, on the 14, okay? Paragraph 3, yeah. 3I, okay, appraisal. If you really do mark that, then you should attach this. Remove the contingency with offer. Buyer remove the contingency specified in attached contingency removal form. So you remove this appraisal contingency attached with the purchase agreement and sign it separately. But usually we just mark the check mark and forget about this. But as a listing agent, you could. If somebody, or you, unless, if that's why the, as a listing agent, if you see this, you don't really give, did you give the buyer, oh, you should remove the appraisal contingency form, sign it back to me. Or what do they usually do? Put in a counter offer. Buyer has been removed appraisal contingency. Or seller, or you can put it the other way around. Seller demand a buyer to remove the contingency, appraisal contingency, because since if we're bidding over the asking price, especially if you submit an offer over asking price, sometimes your listing agent will do that. They want you to remove the appraisal contingency. That means if the appraisal value doesn't meet the purchaser or exceed the purchase price, that means the buyer has to come out the differences to cover the down payment. If the down payment they are right on, say 25% or 20% down, and you're missing that, so dollar amount, then buyer have an extra fund to cover that. You cannot say, loan doesn't go through. No, loan can be go through if the down payment sufficient. Because the listing agent can double check with the loan agent and say, well, did the loan go through? No. Loan will go through as long as the buyer has 20% down. But can buyer change to, maybe if you're really short, then can buyer change to 18% down? Well, just short of 2%. Yeah, but I mean, buyer's age, but the buyer have to be paying a mortgage insurance because anything below that. But sometimes because that differences, that mortgage insurance kick in, debt income ratio suddenly increase. Loan is not approved. And all going back to appraisal value. So no matter what, buyer, before you remove the appraisal contingency, make sure you have extra money, at least 5 to 10% more. 5 to 10% more to cover the differences. Because sometimes, say, $500,000 house, and end up the appraisal coming, and you say, I want to pay $510,000. But appraisal come out with what? $480. Way short. They need $30,000. That's a little bit over 5%. It may happen because appraisal is appraised by a person, not a machine. So it really depends on who is going to appraise the value. Maybe next appraisal coming out can appraise the 490, but too bad this guy coming out only appraised 480. Are you going to kill him? You can't. Can you hire another one? You can't, unless lender hire and say, okay, I think I'm going to challenge that. The only thing the lender will challenge is they have a doubt. Appraisal can appraise $510,000, but the computer calculation come out below $500,000, and they have a doubt. There's appraisal report may not be properly appraised. Then if that's the case, even lender, they will then buyer say, why should I have to pay for it? You know what? Lender, they may pay for it. I want to get a second opinion. If the second appraisal still come out 510, great. That means computer estimate, it could be wrong. If the other one come out with a 490, they may use the lower one. They may use the first one, 510. Okay? So when you pay over asking price, you better have some money, at least 5 to 10% reserve over there, just in case you need to, pay for it. Because obviously it's okay, they put a 499, and how much we push? Yeah, sometimes we push, woohoo, 10 grand, 20 grand more. You better have the money. It's a lender. You think it's unfair. To lender, they are fair. They want to minimize their risk. Especially when you have only 20% down. It's like, okay, you do the conventional loan, but you have 50% down. Big deal. You're way more their guideline. It doesn't matter what appraisal value coming up. If that's the case, yes, you can have the buyer remove appraisal contingency because you put 50% down. It's no way you want to get, appraised way low. No, it's probably a little bit low, most likely. Even, you pay, say like $10,000, $20,000, $1,000 more, and then maybe the appraisal value come out another $10,000 or $20,000 less. You still, no problem. As long as you're signing and say, I understand the appraisal value is appraised lower than the asking price or the purchase price, you are acknowledged. And I'm willing to proceed the purchase because the lender want to make sure the buyer understand that. Then the loan can be funded, no problem. But if you rear right on the borderline, be careful. All right, D. Seller right to cancel buyer's contingencies. If by the time specified in the agreement, buyer does not deliver to the seller a remove of applicable contingency or cancellation of this agreement, then seller, after first delivery, the buyer notice to buyer to perform, may cancel this agreement. In such event, seller shall authorize the return of a buyer's deposit, except for fees incurred by the buyer. So the notice by, see right here, a lot of listing agents all forget about this. In the purchase agreement, they clearly say that if seller do have a right to cancel, but you got to give them what? Notice by the perform. Don't jump the step ahead of time. If you later on the buyer want to challenge your deposit, you gotta have to go step by step, just in case, because it's their money. Most likely they will challenge. If you really want to take all their deposit, sometimes they may give you partial. I said, please, $40,000 initiative. Can we? I'll give you 20,000. Give us return of 20 grand. You are begging a seller. It's up to the sellers because that's up to the escrow amendment. Because escrow amendment, they will say, okay, how much money deduction and how much money belong to seller, how much money belong to return to buyer. If you do have a money return to buyer, if you want to return half of it, if the seller want to be the nice guy, okay, fine. It's your seller's choice. But I mean, when you're returning an initial deposit, or if you forfeit the buyer's initial deposit into seller's pocket, then listing agent, sometimes you become a seller, you know, I'm entitled to half of a compensation fee. Where do you say that? Later on listing agreement, first page, you'll see it. But sometimes, you know, we afraid to tell seller when we sign a listing. Any compensation, we are entitled at half. Our company entitled half. 50%, okay? I say, why? Well, it's because I fight hard for your compensation. I should entitled to reward half of them, up to half of them. That's on the listing agreement. But you don't throw in the seller under the bus when you really get a compensation. Then you're asking money. When I'm signing the listing agreement, I clearly tell them, here's a percentage of the commission. And if we do have any compensation, I say, when we get a compensation? Sometimes seller doesn't understand. I say, well, if the buyer did not deliver and we forfeit their deposit, then our company entitled for half of the compensation. This is what it means. Highlight. Well, unless you want to be the good lady, the good listing agent, you want to still continue. Sometime, you know, because we want to still continue listing their property. Okay, fine, I'll give everything to you. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Even the buyer sign all the removal. Yes. But if the seller doesn't deliver the notice of the buyer. Oh, so no. When you sign a contingency, then deal. Even they didn't give you the notice by to perform. That's it. Then deal. The deposit, you kiss your deposit goodbye. Every time you sign a CR, contingency removal, you tell the buyer, are you ready to kiss your deposit goodbye? If you did not close the escrow, then you sign. Oh yeah. That's why you don't volunteer. Tell the buyer signing the CR. before they're signing the CR, you have to clearly tell them that. Okay? Because sometimes, buyers can, I don't understand English. I don't know what's my buyers telling me to sign. I just sign it. And what do you do? Oh, no. That's right. They all plan on me as a buyer's agent. Well, some of our co-workers happened on that before, especially if they are the dual agent. Seller want to forfeit the deposit. Buyers want to sue the agent, and the agent is dual agent. Who paid for the loss? You know that. And that I remember that loss is not small, about $50,000 initial deposit. I know it happened. So you gotta have to clearly tell them that, everything before you signing this. And that's why I rather have the seller give the notice buyer to perform, because contingency removal, we need a seller's need a buyer's signature. But notice buyer to perform, we need a buyer's acknowledgement initial. So the more paperwork signed by, then also the also another paperwork is from escrow. Okay, so buyer to agree, give the sellers all the money. Escrow need another paperwork. So when you have 3 paperwork, and don't tell me you don't understand English. Well, it's already clear. I mean, you don't have to say anything, because right on the CR form later on I cover that right before the signature. That means you already understand. Then too bad. Not exactly. If the agent really, if I really say, look, buyers, I mean, if I were to give you the notice buyer to perform, you initial. I give you this, you sign. But did I ever tell you that? You better make a note. When and what day, you tell them exactly on your note. So usually when we have a smartphone, you better jot it down. What date and time when you meet them. So that if they really want to challenge and say, you know what you signed, don't tell me. Okay, you don't understand, because on the CR form they would clearly tell them and say, well, this, basically, the once you sign it, you may not get your initial deposit back. Later on, it's a bold print. Okay. Well, according to the agreement, is we are not obligated to what? Translate. They have to hire their own translator. So that's why. So more paperwork, have the buyer initial or sign, is actually better off as an agent. No matter what, we have to protect ourselves first before we can protect our client. 2, seller right to cancel. Buyer contract obligation. Seller, after first delivering to the buyers a notice buyer to perform, may cancel this agreement if by the time specified in this agreement. So usually 2 days later. Okay, I'm default. Notice buyer to perform. Buyer does not take the following action. 1, deposit fund as required by paragraph 3A or 3B. So that means their initial deposit never come in. Can you serve the notice buyer to perform? Very first one. What do you want to do? Seller want to cancel the buyer. Give the notice buyer to perform, because initial deposit never come in. Then you serve the cancellation. Or if the fund deposit pursuing the paragraph 3A and B are not good when deposit, check bounce. Bad sign. Deliver a notice FHA or VA cost and terms are required by the paragraph 3D. So if the FHA loan and the buyer did not give you the signed FHA disclosure, Yeah, you could cancel that or VA loan. You have to attach what the purchase agreement with the FHA or VA loan acknowledgement. Well, initial deposit, we do take the personal check. Doesn't have to be cashier check. If I mark a personal check on the first page of purchase agreement, right? It could. But sometimes it's not buyer purposely bounce it. It just, they may transfer the fund and they forgot. You gotta have to remind. I said, this before you have the have the buyer deliver the check to escrow, or you get the check from the buyer before you deliver the escrow. Ask the buyer, is this account has money? Because if I deliver, they will cash it right away. If you don't, you need to transfer. When? How many days? Then I stick on the note, staple on it. Even I know. Try not to staple on the check, but too bad. That's a situation. I may have to staple because I don't want that the sticky pad lost it. And escrow officer just cash it in. And the buyer told you, I said, I need to do the transfer. And the end of the check bounce. So I will staple those sticky notes on the check. They say until what day and time. Then you can deposit. Then if that would actually, as a buyer's kind of delay, then listing agent should know, or seller, they should know, because before they cash in the check, escrow will not give buyer any paperwork, not escrow instruction, or nor the title report or natural hazard disclosure statement. It has to deposit, the check has to deposit, then the escrow will give the paperwork to the buyer and buyer's agent. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, when it's like, put it this way, if, for example, if it's a long weekend, seller accepting your offer on Friday, and Monday still off, escrow open on Tuesday. So the latest you need to cash in the check is by after 3 business days. That's according to the purchase agreement. That's on Thursday. You got plenty of time. And most likely, you can do the online transfer. If people doesn't really know how to do it, you can go on Tuesday. You do the transfer from saving account to checking account. It's just right on the spot. Actually, Tuesday they can deposit the check if they do the transfer on Tuesday. The only thing, the worst thing I've seen it before is if the those check or the fund from financial institution, like from New York, those are mutual fund. Okay, that's the worst. That take about a week. The foreign country check, I don't think they can cash it here. No, the foreign country check doesn't mean anything. Even well, even they say, okay, HSBC, okay, then you better have HSBC to exchange with the cashier check. If HSBC, they will take their Hong Kong or other countries check, fine, because they can check the fund on the buyer. I mean the buyer, but we cannot cash the escrow cannot cash the check from Hong Kong or other different country. But HSBC, they are worldwide. And you tell the HSBC, why don't you just exchange? Tell the buyers, they go to your local branch, exchange the cashier check to the escrow. But if the what I just I deal with it before, those are from the financial institution check, and usually you gotta have to tell them you overnight the check. But when they deposit you your account, sometimes your bank will withholding. So usually you might have to ask your bank, can you without withholding the check, depending on how good relationship with your bank. If the out of state check, usually it's a 7 business day. And anything over $5,000, it could be 7 business days. So if that's the case, you better have your buyer withdraw. Don't get stingy. Withdraw those checks from a mutual fund, for example, financial institution. Deposit your personal check since you want to buy the house anyway. Don't wait until last minute because the initial deposit is no good. Then we got to delay the whole thing. And seller can cancel you. Right? If the check's no good. 3, deliver a letter as pre-qualified or required by paragraph 3J1. That is like a pre-qualified letter. Usually when we submit offer or they deliver. But according to the purchase agreement, you could deliver within 3 days. 4, deliver verification and verify if the seller reasonable disapprove of the verification already provided as required by the paragraph 3C or 3H. That is for the fund. Okay, for your initial down payment. You need to deliver within 3 days, for the down payment. Number 6, return statutory and let disclosure required of paragraph 10A5. And 7, sign or initial a separate liquidation damage form for an increased deposit as required by paragraph 3B and 21B. What do you mean the increased deposit? When the seller's market, you get a multiple offer, and in default, the owner occupied is what? The seller can only keep your 3% initial deposit if you cancel. But if you really want to stand out other than other offer, then you can say, okay, I'll increase the deposit later on. Say like, if you're accepting our offer, I'll increase deposit. I may put an extra deposit after 3 days or 7 days. But if I do cancel, you can forfeit everything. You need a separate form. Increased deposit. Liquidation damage form. That's separate form. That means not just 5%, it could be not just 3% in default. It could be more, whatever the money may be. So that will stand out on your terms and condition. Sometimes you get the deal not because of pricing. It's terms and condition. When we talk about terms and condition, that means contingency days, how many days? Escrow days, how many days? Or even like this, increased deposit, this is considered terms and condition. Your price may not be the highest. And if the seller is not greedy, then they will choose you. One of the offer, I know it's still hanging there on the escrow. I feel sorry, the listing agent did not choose us. I know even the listing agent say, James, I really, really like to work with you, but your offer is $10,000 apart than the highest one. Yike. If $2,000, $3,000, he will tell the buyer, hey, choose this one because I shortened to 3 weeks escrow. 10 days contingency period, 14 days on the loan contingency because my buyer can even pay all cash if he need to. Enough money. Then we can close in 3 weeks. Now it's sitting in the escrow more than 45 days because $10,000 more still hanging. Because my buyer is an old man. It's a stingy person. And he's Indian. Did you ever deal with an 80 years old? They're so stubborn, just like my father. Sometimes I got careless. Oh, fine. He's been 80 years old. What can I say? Yeah. Those people are really stubborn. I don't want to argue with them. 700. 700 and asking. We already give it I think the asking is 699, and what are you giving 712? And we're the second highest. I don't know why the first high. We even removed the appraisal contingency. And listing agents already checked my background through our coworker. And what's our coworker? They say, James is really good on the contract. I said, oh, then I better be careful. I say, it's only standard, as you can see. I try to see, originally the buyers, we are just about like, even she is telling me the highest one is 715. I was at $3,000 par. Okay. Well, you pay me 2.25% on the commission. I'll say, I'll give you the CBC form. I'm willing to give up. I want to get the deal because I know that the old man is stubborn. I just want to close it as soon as possible. So far, I'm still showing the property, with him, but I say I'm willing to give it 0.25%. So try to narrow the gap. But suddenly, I heard they say, James, sorry, the buyer on 715, they just increased to 722. Damn it! And then suddenly $10,000 par, no brainers. How can you persuade a seller to accept my offer? $10,000 less. Even I got better condition. But now they're in trouble. I just wait and see. If they cancel, if they cannot close, I tell them and say, hey, we're still alive. Yeah. It's been 45 days. Because if it's us, 3 weeks, it's been done. Or even pay all cash. We got enough money because we show them the bank statement. More than what we offer. It's just my buyer want to sell. I want to finance. Okay, it's your choice. Yeah. So that's the issue. You gotta deal with that. And we'll continue. Oh, number 6, return schedule. Okay. Number 7, sign initial the separate liquidation. Okay. Number 8, provide evidence or authority to sign in the representative capacity as specified in paragraph 19. In such event, seller should authorize the return of buyer's deposit except for fee incurred by the buyers. So even for those are statutory of the capacity, those are if you signing by the power of attorney or as a living trust or as the company, for example, if the list seller, then you still same thing. You still need to, once you cancel, if the seller is canceled, that means you have to return the deposit to the buyer. Otherwise, how can you open another escrow if you keep on hanging there? I know some of the seller, they open another escrow with open an escrow with another escrow company and end the double escrow. That's illegal. I don't know why the listing agent will allow the seller to do that. I've seen that. They keep this and continue the other one and see if this one is shaking, and then for some reason I don't know why they even cancel and they hang there, and I don't know what's the story why they did not return the deposit back to the buyers. They just open another escrow with another, because another escrow company doesn't know they have another escrow, the existing escrow, 2 different buyers, 2 different agents. That's illegal if it's double escrow. E, notice a buyer to seller to perform. The MBP or NSP shall be in writing. 2, be signed by the applicable buyer or seller. 3, give the other party at least 2 days after delivery. Default is 2 days after delivery, or until the time specified in the applicable paragraph, whichever occurred last. So if you to take the applicable action, an MBP or NSP may not be delivered any earlier than 2 days prior to the expiration of the applicable time for the other party to remove a contingency or cancel this agreement or meet an obligation specified in paragraph 14A. So that means you cannot deliver, if the default 17 days, you cannot deliver the MBP earlier than 15th day. or whatever, you know, if you already, you know, say like 70, if you shorten to 10 days, then 8th day, that's you can deliver. You cannot deliver anything earlier than that. But can we change to 3 day or 1 days here? You could. You could. Then that means, or can the seller counter you if they want to change it, a notice buyer to perform to 1 day? Yeah, you could. As a buyer's agent, you don't want to change anything unless you are pretty sure what you are doing and your buyers agree your action. And you better tell them what's the consequence if we shorten the contingency period. The advantage is we stand out. Disadvantage is we better close it sooner, or you get everything ready. If we have something wrong with it, then we have to cancel right away to get our initial deposit back. F, effect of a buyer's remove the contingency. If the buyer removed in writing any contingency or cancellation right unless otherwise specified in writing, buyer should conclusive be deemed to have 1, completed all buyer's investigation and review of report and other applicable information and disclosure pertain to that contingency or cancellation right. 2, elected to proceed with transaction. And 3, assume all liability, responsibility, and expense for repair or correction pertaining to that contingency or cancellation right, or for the inability to obtain financing. So basically, if you the buyers, you know, have anything wrong with it, that's why it's a time to remove the to either cancel. But once you remove the contingency, that means everything is perceived properly. Okay, I know the buyer may have to take the risk, even you just get the final approval before they fund it. Very rarely has a situation may happen, but still something may still happen. Suddenly you receive a tax lien from the buyer, and suddenly your down payment is be levied by IRS or franchise tax board. Suddenly you don't have a down payment or not enough down payment, then you cannot finance it, but you only remove all contingency. What do you do? Why am I saying that? Because I heard that once from our previous co-worker. Oh yeah. What can I do? You can't. It's an accident. Just like if during the escrow, buyer passed away, you only remove contingency, suddenly they just heart attack and pass away. So the seller has the right to forfeit the deposit? Technically, yes. Or just like seller passed away, seller haven't signed a grantee transfer. That's bad. I told you guys before, it happened to me twice, right after I sell their property, and they pass away. Twice. 2 weeks later. I don't know why 2 weeks later. 2 of them, they all 2 weeks later. They passed away. Heart attack. The other one is stroke. One is my high school classmate. Strong, healthy, German, tall. Anything could happen. The other one, feng shui master. He could look at it. Everybody's you know, feng shui or, you know, a life, he cannot predict his own life. Yep. 2 weeks later, pass away. So technically, I really don't like a long escrow. Sometimes I'd rather have a seller rent back instead of a 60-day, 90-day escrow. Boy, you hang there. Cross a finger, nothing happened. But as long as you're on this job and this career, accident do happen. Yeah, I heard that before. As the buyer just have a car accident and passed away. Now, what do you do in the escrow? Yeah, both of them. That's why every morning, you know, when I wake up, thank God I'm still alive. G, close of escrow. Before buyer or seller may cancel this agreement for failure of the other party to close escrow pursuing to this agreement, buyer or seller must first deliver to the other party to demand to close of escrow. The DCE shall be signed by the applicable buyer or seller, and 2, give the other party at least 3 days after delivery to close of escrow. A DCE may not deliver any earlier than 3 days prior to a scheduled close of escrow. What's that supposed to mean? Before the, if you know, for example, if the buyer, you kind of, you know, look at the situation. If you don't think they will close of escrow in time, and they haven't filed an extension, seller kinds of pushing it, you have to close now. This is a form you serve them. Demand to close escrow. If the before you really want to took buyer's money, that's another form you need to submit. Notice buyer to perform, contingency removal, right? Okay, those are the forms. And the buyer, okay, continue. For some reason, they're in all kinds of trouble. They want to switch a lender at the last minute, unless the seller agree. Otherwise, if sellers not agree, they already remove contingency. What do? Before you want to forfeit their deposit, you got to serve them, demand to close. So you put it this way: seller has to give the buyers always a chance to make it up, because who knows? Buyer can borrow the money, pay all cash. Is it possible? Sure. Yeah. It's definitely possible. So you have to give it like notice buyer to perform 2 days. Demand to close escrow 3 days. Then after that, if the buyer still cannot close it and they did not file extension, then basically have no escrow. Then you tell the buyer's agent, they say, well, look, you know, then I have all the right to forfeit the initial deposit. You better tell your buyer now, because I give you all the paperwork properly. Because you cannot really forfeit the deposit before the servant demand to close the escrow, even you're already exceeding the escrow date. Do you want to take their initial deposit? You better give them this form. That's the last form. You got to have to give them a chance to make it up. So that's why, you know, notice buyer to perform and demand to close of escrow. These 2 forms, a lot of listing agents, they forgot. Okay? So they just want to take the money, initial deposit. Wait a minute. You're missing the proper form. So you don't want to leave the buyers or buyer's agent to challenge you back, especially when they hire an attorney. You're missing those two forms, possibly you may have to return their deposit. If the deposit has been forced to return, and who's going to be the piss? Seller will piss on the listing agent the most. Do you think they will continue or list with you? Yeah, that's a problem. You gotta have to know all the forms and do it properly to protect your client. So that's why we try not to work on a dual agent, is because sometimes it's really hard, and usually the lawsuit most likely happen at a dual agency. Even say I'm with the Remax 2000 and you too. Okay, is it considered dual agent? Yeah, it's still considered dual agency, even with a different real estate agent, but we're still under the same roof. Okay, effecting of the cancellation on deposit. Here we go. If the buyer and seller give written notice of cancellation pursuing the right duty exercise under the terms of this agreement, the party agreed to sign mutual instruction to cancel the sale and escrow and release the deposit, if any, to the party entitled to the fund. Last fee and costs incurred by the party. Fees and costs may be payable to service provider and vendors for services and product provided during escrow, except as specified below. Release of fund will require mutual signed release instruction from the parties, judicial decision, or arbitration award. If either party failed to execute mutual instruction to cancel escrow, one party may make a written demand to close to escrow holder for the deposit. Escrow holder, upon receipt, shall promptly deliver notice of demand to close of other party. If within 10 days after escrow holder notice, the other party does not object to the demand, escrow holder should disperse the deposit to the party making the demand. If escrow holder comply with the proceeding process, each party shall be deemed to have released escrow holder from any and all claim and liability related to dispersal of deposit. Escrow holder, at its discretion, may nonetheless require mutual cancellation instruction. A party may be subject to a civil penalty up to $1,000 for refusal to sign cancellation instruction if no good faith dispute exists as to who is titled to the deposit funds. So that's a civil code. So that means if each party, either the buyer want to demand their deposit back, and the seller doesn't really have the objection. Usually you give the BDRD or seller deposit. Okay, seller demand the return deposit. So that's a buyer demand return deposit, BDRD and SDRD. You give that to the other party. I'm going to get that money. If you doesn't have any objection, if you do, you better raise it up within 10 days. Otherwise, escrow will release the money. But how many escrow does really release the money? It's up to the escrow. Some of escrow, they are so afraid the buyer or seller after them. They gotta have their amendment signed by both parties. Doesn't matter forfeit the deposit or return the deposit. Both parties have to be agreed with the escrow amendment. Some escrow, they are afraid to exercise this. 10 days automatically release the deposit to the other party. Yeah, because they don't want to get a lawsuit either. So that's how that happened. So even on the contract, it say 10 days, they will release to the other party, but it's sometimes, it's up to the escrow. You got to make sure they both parties sign the agreement, whatever the money may be. So just tell you what is on the paperwork or what is on the reality. Okay, paragraph 15, final verification of condition. Buyer should have the right to make the final verification of a property within 5 days prior to the close of escrow, not as contingency of the sale, but solely to confirm the property is maintained pursuing the paragraph 11. That means you have to keep the way it is, present as is condition. 2, repair has been completed as agreed. 3, seller has complied with the seller's other obligation under this agreement. So you put on a VP. So you cannot, for example, if you found out the repair has not been done, and you do the verification, final walkthrough, what can you do? A lot of buyers say, oh, no, I don't want to close the escrow. What's this? Not as a contingency of the sale. That means you cannot use that to stop closing of escrow. You cannot use a final walkthrough. If the seller is not agreed to or hasn't finished a repair, you still have to close the escrow. You cannot use that. Then what can you do with the seller? Sue them at small claim court because you have a request for repair responding, if you do have that. Okay? You can only after the seller. You can talk to the listing agent and say, well, you better repair it before close of escrow or right away. Otherwise, I'll sue you after close of escrow. Because you do have what? Request for repair signed. And that means sellers agree what do the repair. But when you check on it, they haven't did any repair. Usually I say, seller, if he really doesn't want to repair, that's okay. We'll give you another way out. Give me how much credit. So I can issue an addendum right away. I have the escrow, issue an amendment. But what's that trouble going to be? Lender. Because any credit from the buyer or seller, okay, it has to be notified the lender. So you better do it outside of escrow. So you issue the addendum and have the seller issue a cashier check sitting on the escrow and issue the cashier check payable to buyer, whatever the dollar amount may be. So we keep it outside of escrow. Okay? And the escrow doesn't issue any amendment, so lender doesn't have to know. So actually, I'm playing with the gray area. So that's why the paperwork and the reality was going to deal with it. Then once you close of escrow, buyer can pick up the cashier check from escrow officer. That's why we usually resolve those issues. Outside the escrow, how come you keep the check? No. Escrow keep the check until close of escrow. So we can have. I think that's fair. We don't take the cashier check before close of escrow. We will still close it. But once you close it, buyer has a right to pick up their overage check and a seller's cashier check for the repair credit. Escrow know that, but doesn't have to be know the lender. Escrow only keep that check, but it's not put into the escrow. It's not part of the deal. It's not like a escrow proceed paperwork. It's not within the paperwork. It just keep the dollar amount over there. Sometimes we even have the escrow keep the dollar amount for the rent back, because some of the lenders doesn't like the buyer. The rent back situation. But part of a deal, in between, seller need to rent back for 2 weeks or even a month. Then what do? We have to keep it outside of escrow because buyer's lender doesn't like that. So you issued a addendum signed by both parties, but escrow officer, technically they don't know. They just keep the check. That's in the escrow. Once you close it, buyer can pick it up or seller can pick it up. Okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. That's why it's cashier check. Yes, you can only sell. We can request a seller. Definitely, we won't get the personal check. We want a cashier check payable to the buyer. Then, after closing escrow, buyer can pick it up for rent back or credit for the repair. That's how we deal with it. Do I have any problem with the rent back so far? No. But it may have a problem. For example, if the usually you gotta have to know the issue at buyer's rent back. That has to be reasonable. You gotta have to really check on it. Say, because their property need a remodeling. So make sure it's like, okay, for example, you close the escrow and the seller close the escrow right away. But the issue is seller, whatever the purchase property, they need a remodeling. So they cannot move out right away. Then you know they are going to close an escrow. A month, okay. Yeah, but I mean, we try to minimize it. Yeah. Yeah, buyer do really concerned on that. Either you issue the SIP, seller in possession form, or you use a seller lease after sale. Okay, you issue those forms. That means if they did not deliver the time you say so, that means the buyer has an eviction right to the seller. Well, then end up, I know, eviction court. Yeah. So I know some of the buyer doesn't like that. Then if that's the case, then we try to extend the escrow period time. That's the only thing you can. But if the seller need to use that money to close the other escrow and do the remodeling, then you cannot extend it either. So basically, if that's an issue, you make it. If the buyer doesn't comfortable with that, no matter what, unfortunately, then cancel the deal. Or if the seller agree and say, not only I pay you the initial deposit, not only I pay you the month rent, say if the 1 month's rent, and also I give you a 1 month security deposit, just like regular rental. It make you feel comfortable. Or 2 months initial deposit. I mean, not a security deposit, yeah, to make the buyers feel comfortable. Okay. But those are gonna have to come with the agreement. If it doesn't come with the agreement, then you tell the buyer, say, well, if you're really afraid if the seller is not going to move out, then don't buy it. Because seller needs your money to buy another property and they need the time to do the remodeling. And they cannot do the remodeling after close of escrow. We'll know that. Then, unfortunately, if you don't want to take the risk, then don't buy it. Why don't we cancel right away? Those are the issues. We have to deal with it 17 days. Because anything can happen, I know. Repair, we just, cover briefly here because later on we're gonna, talk about a request of repair as well. So paragraph 16, repair shall be completed prior to the final verification of contingency unless otherwise agreed in writing. Repair to be performed at the seller's expense may be performed by sellers or through others, provided the works comply with the applicable law, including government permit, inspection, approval requirement. Repair shall be performed in a good, skillful manner with the material of a quality and appearance comparable to existing material. It is understood that exact restoration of appearances of cosmetic item following all repairs may not be possible. Seller should 1, obtain invoice and pay receipts for repairs performed by the other. 2, prepare a written statement indicating the repair performed by seller and the date such repair. 3, provide a copy of an invoice and pay received and statement to buyer prior to final verification of condition. Usually, if the repair, happened, you rather don't have a seller repair by themselves. Even sellers say, hey, I want to save the money. I want to do a repair by myself. I say, well, yeah, you could, but I mean, are you going to be bothered by the buyer, after the next 2-3 years if not anything wrong with it for your repair? If you do, fine, you do it yourself. Okay? You repair yourself. I would rather encourage a seller, you hire somebody with the license to repair so they can issue the invoice. So the invoice will pass it on to the buyers. So if anything wrong with the repair, they are after the contractor, not you, seller. If you really want to save the money, fine. You can do the repair yourself. No problem. It's your choice. But that's what I encourage you to do. Hire somebody with the with the license, not without a license. All right? Because sometimes if the permit issue and if the contractor didn't do it properly, and the buyer after the contractor, and if as long as they with a license or something, then definitely they will complete it. If without a license, and they cannot really after the contractor, and so did the city, then you know who is going to be after. They will go back to seller again. Because who hired a contractor? Seller. Buyer can after the seller again if the contractor didn't do it properly and without license. Yeah. So be careful if the auto repair. You rather have somebody with a license do the repair. Okay. So don't just like for example, last time I deal with that, like the asbestos pipe. I mentioned that before. For the furnace, for the older house. And the licensed contractor said, I cannot do it because that's need a special license, asbestos license. And those the contractor they can remove. That's why they're very costly. Remove one asbestos pipe just between the furnace to the roof. That's in between the attic. $1,000 per pipe. $1,000 per pipe. And if you have 2 wall mount heater, okay, and that's $2,000. Instead of I finding those contractor. So we do auto repair and plus the credit. We credit $1,000. So we just have to say, look, we do auto repair. We credit $1,000 to you to remove. So at least we pay one, you pay one if you really want to remove. If you don't want to touch it, $1,000 yours. Okay. Then fine. So we do auto repair except not auto repair, partial repair, some of rejection, and plus a credit. So our request for repair is like ding, ding, ding. Itemize it. I'm going to cover that. How you can do all 3. Okay. So I can reject it, whatever it doesn't want to repair, and I can do partial repair and plus a credit. Yeah, because those are, and as long as it's been repaired with the proper contractor, because we did the repair for the air conditioning too. So we got an air conditioning contractor and a regular licensed contractor to do all the leaking, plumbing, leaking, and give it a credit for the asbestos pipe. Warranty? Well, contractor, whatever they did, they gotta have that because they have to issue the invoice. They would pass it on the invoice to the buyer. 1 year, yeah. Well, I don't know. No, depends on some of them could be 3 months. But no matter what, they would after the contractor first before after seller. Yes. It has to be licensed though, because you don't want the trouble later on. If like the regular, for example, if the rental, doing the remodeling, yeah, you can hire those without a license. Big deal, because only flooring, kitchen, or bathroom. Because the rental property in between the tenant, you do the remodeling, it's not going to hurt anybody, right? Okay, but especially transaction sale, you better have somebody with a license. Yeah, just for your own good. Because put it this way, it's not your money. You tell the seller and seller still insists, hire somebody they know and they want to do it themselves. Fine. So be it. They are against my advice. Well, if I could though, or I can put an addendum. If I really, if I know this sellers how to deal with it, then I better put addendum. Okay, you do know what you are, what you plan to do. So I put addendum. So seller sign. Yeah. And okay, well, I'll stop here. Then we'll come back on Thursday for 17, proration of property tax and other items. Yeah, this one is, rest of them is pretty much standard. Yeah. But those are, just, I still go through word by words because you know which paragraph is, especially when you deal with the seller or buyer. I didn't tell you, expecting you memorize everything, but at least you need to know which paragraph which one they're talking about. So if buyer asking a question, what, right here, we actually a California purchase agreement is probably the most comprehensive agreement in the world, not just in the nation. So it's most comprehensive. They cover pretty much all the situation. So, but you have to know. So that's why if you could, even you don't understand, that's okay. Read 20 times. 20 times, please. Don't tell me your English is not good enough. It's okay. 20 times. If some of the vocabulary, find through the, find the dictionary. Okay. If you still don't understand, I know some of the technically term, you don't understand, that's okay, that you can ask me. But don't ask me if you without reading it, because I would know it. I can tell. Okay. That's why when Kwang told me, so if without, reading 20 times, don't ask me any question. And now I know why. Yeah, you can tell. Because if I you ask me a question, I can ask you back. Then I know, did you read it or not? Yeah. Okay, then I'll see you on Thursday. Sign-in sheet, everybody sign it? No? Yes? Uh-huh. 会，我都会秀给你们 ，Don't worry， 我会秀给你们，因为这个来讲的话，哦，有啊，你要的话啊，不好意思嘞，就看啊，这边我用这一份，我就这个直接印出来，对，我要这个 finish a purchase agreement 完之后，我就会 continue 我的 counter offer、contingency removal、notice to perform。然后 request for repair、seller responding request for repair， 这个我都会 cover。Before 这些 cover， 你们看如果还有什么 particular form， 还有就是contingency upon purchase，OK， 这个我也会 cover。After that 这些全部都 cover 完之后 ，then I will jump to the listing package， 或是这个完之后我会 go through disclosure statement first，then listing，then rental。这个才 complete 整个 course. So that's why take quite a few months. 因为我知道这个来讲的话，前面这几个 paragraph 我要跟你们讲得很清楚，是因为 that's really important. 因为你们如果这个地方不清楚的时候，it will jeopardize your career. 因为这个很重要。后面的话，我通常会这样过来broker compensation scope of duty 这种就比较没什么。Okay, representative capacity, what's that? But at least, for bold print, 过来后面的东西就比较 pretty much standard, nothing really need to fill in. 你看嘛，这都是 standard 的东西。OK， 那这个来讲的话， remedy, okay, dispute, mediation, arbitration, we all know that, okay, additional mediation. 然后呢，这个后面的话就是 pretty much standard， 就 nothing we fill in。所以这个来讲的话，我就会 go between。然后这个 definition， 这个你们就到时候我会 go through， 这个就比较快。然后过来就是 signing the area， 这个我会稍微再 clearly 要跟你们讲。好，然后 escrow holder 这个我们就可以跳过去。But 像这个什么时候 present an offer？ Technically, you should if the broker or designee initial， 然后这个来讲哪一个天，其实有时候你就是 listing broker。如果你真的人家 challenge 你的时候 ，Did you present the offer right here？ 如果你 reject the offer, you're right here. Seller need to initial on what date? If you didn't counter the buyer, then you better have a seller sign it, rejection, and date it. Okay, just in case the buyer's agent challenge it back to you. 这个我都会 cover. Buyer's investigation 来讲的话，上次有人就 challenge 我 square footage and boundary. Okay, right here. All right, then you just have to know which part. 因为人家要 challenge 我什么的时候 then I gotta have to know where is it. I tell them. Okay, not only I provide the proper document, I have 如果人家要 challenge 我会 prepare everything before I call them back right away. 就是说你 especially responding 的时候，你要沉得住气。Okay, I better have all the document ready. 一次就把你打死，让你没办法喘气。如果你要 challenge 我 ，bang， 我一次就我不会马上 respond to you. Take a few days. I gather all the information, then I hammer you. 不要说哦，人家打我，你就如果说人家 challenge back 或是 write an email back challenge， 你马上 responding。有时候来讲的话 ，you didn't prepare yourself and you make a mistake twice， 那怎么办？万一真的是你的 mistake 怎么办？那我这个时候我就要静下来回想 what happened。Did I do properly？ 像这个来讲 ，square footage 就是没有什么一翻两瞪眼的事情。But if anything in between the transaction 的时候 ，something happened, you gotta have to refresh. Sometime half year ago, did you have a note? 你当初有没有jot down any note properly? Okay, if you have a good memory, fine. But 我们的 memory 有时候还是会，有时候会忘记。So if 如果有一些 seller 或 buyer is pretty thorough， 他们就是很 detailed 的那种 buyer 或 seller， be careful, you jot down your note too. 因为我们都有 smartphone 嘛，你如果今天跟这个 buyer meet 的时候，你一定会 put out, okay, I'm meeting with this buyer or meeting with this seller, and what do we talk about? 你 just brainstorming, write a few words. 你只要能够 refresh your memory 的时候就可以，因为怎么样 ？Attorney 通常他以前我们上过课 risk management 的时候 ，if we go to the court and the honor see you have all the log activity log regarding, 因为我们这 smartphone, if you type in this buyer or this seller, the name, okay? All the log, all the appointment book, everything is here. So it's hard to challenge. Doesn't matter what you write. That's what the attorney telling us. Doesn't matter what you write, but judge see you logging properly. You're doing the right job, you know? That means they assume. I know they probably never assume, but they would like to. You know, judges say, okay, you must be a great real estate agent because you document, you log your activity. If somebody want to challenge you, you have all the log. Yeah. 好 I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you for coming. 对，抱歉，来，我现在帮你 in. Hey.